And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes.
All right, welcome to the show. Thanks for spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, always helping you win in any marketplace. 11 years on air now, and we take great pride in being your consumer advocate, making you more street smart here. We're going to talk about global trade, what's going on in the international scene, what's going on with tariffs, kind of peel back the onion a little bit. And we've got Scott Mitchell in studio with us. He is a board member on Will's Way Foundation and a friend of mine as well, also invested in a really unique company here, PRBot.ai. We're going to talk with him. He's also got a QR code available for our audience, PRBot.ai/QB20. He's going to get 20% off. So we're going to talk about that coming up. Also, Attorney Millie Athanason on the Quarterback Show back in studio with us. We're going to talk with her as well about her law office coming up here on the show. Before we do, Dave, we got a couple of announcements. Going on. What's happening? We got our event coming up on the 24th, Thursday the 24th, 5:30.
Yes, we do. It's going to be your gratitude party. This is going to mix it together with this 5 Chamber of Commerce mixer that's happening over here at the Thresher Stadium down in Clearwater. So that's going to be Thursday, April 24th, starting at 5:30 p.m. all the way till 9 p.m. It is going to be a $35 registration for this one. However, it does come with all the actual food, appetizers, drinks, and everything else around there. It's going to be a fantastic time for networking. I mean, you're going to have dozens and dozens of business owners. Of course, you're going to have everybody who the show guests, all the show experts. So any questions that you've been having, wanting to connect with them, it's going to be a perfect time to do it. It's going to be a great night out, too, weather-wise.
Yep. And we're one of the few shows that invite your audience. We're inviting our audience, our show partners, all the folks are going to be out there. We're going to have a good time. A couple of hot listings here from the Platinum MVP team. Brand new listing at 16625 Goose Ribbon Place. This is an awesome client of mine, repeat client, Donald and his wife, selling a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, smart home down in Waimama, Florida. Booming area, great opportunity to buy. And I love these communities, man. Look at this. I wish I had this growing up as a kid. A resort-style crystal lagoon, a shimmering multi-acre aquatic paradise. You got volleyball courts, nature trails, dog park, vibrant clubhouse, guard-gated community 24/7, close to Anna Maria Island Parish, Lakewood Ranch. You got a 3-2 over there. Beautiful property, 322 Smart Home at 16625 Goose Ribbon Place in Waimama, Florida. Beautiful property there. 221 Howard Drive, one of my favorite listings right now. This is a gorgeous listing. We just reduced the price down to $2.95 million. So we just made a price improvement here. 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,500 square foot single family home, Bel Air Beach location, 3-island kitchen, Thermador appliances, saltwater pool, 100 linear feet of water frontage on deep water access to the Gulf of America. The dolphin-filled waters, sugar sand beaches just around the corner. 221 Howard Drive, beautiful Bel Air Beach, Florida. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
She ain't prejudice, he's just made in America.
All right, Scott Mitchell, welcome in, sir. Thanks for coming in, man.
Good to be here, Brandon.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. But it's been a long time coming. We've talked about it several times.
Yeah, for years.
It's like, come on, man, get on the show. Let's get on the show.
Yep.
So it worked out great. Let's jump right into it, man. I think the number one topic right now is international trade, tariffs. What's the effect going to be? What's your thoughts generally about, the first 100 days and the Trump administration, these tariffs?
I mean, I think they've been a crazy first 100 days, but very good for America. I love the tariffs. I think we've been taken advantage of for far too long as a country. It's something that previous presidents should have had a backbone to do.
Exactly.
I think Trump is cleaning up a lot of mess and kind of leveling out the playing field internationally. Yeah, if you go, as you know, I love to travel, spend a lot of time in Europe, like way too much time. And when you're over there, you don't see any American cars. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all Chinese cars. They're all European cars, and it's because they have such high tariffs. And it's not just tariffs like the specific tariffs they have on U.S. cars, but it's also the VAT tax and all these other trade impediments that they've set up over the years.
Can you explain the VAT tax for our audience?
Sure. So it's a value-added tax, and most European countries have. I think the entire EU has that. And what it is that it effectively ends up being an import tax too. So when you import products into the U.S., there's no value-added tax that's applied. So when we import products from the U.S. into the EU, they slap us with the value-added tax right off the bat. So it's almost like the U.S. equivalent of the sales tax, but it's kind of taxed in every branch along the way. So every time someone touches a product and pushes along, the tax is applied. So it ends up, in effect, being a tariff.
Yeah. And, so that's our payback for bailing them out on all these wars, It's
right.
We saved your life on all these occasions. We're going to tax the heck out of you.
Right. If we weren't here, they'd all be speaking German, right?
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly right. So and then you also mentioned currency. You have these accusations, especially China, of currency manipulation, some of the IP infringements, things like that. So a lot of these countries, they're not playing ball on many level playing fields.
Right, absolutely. No, it's Chinese companies can trust U.S. companies. If we do business with them, we respect intellectual property rights, and Chinese companies sue U.S. companies all the time if they're infringed upon, and the U.S. courts step in and they make sure that they enforce the international intellectual property rights that we're all supposed to live by.
Yeah.
Chinese companies in Chinese courts don't have the same rules. So, we send our IP over there. We make manufacturing agreements with them. We trust that they're gonna comply with international intellectual property laws. But when push comes to shove, and we file a lawsuit in a Chinese jurisdiction, Chinese courts just ignore it. And it's our IP has been stolen from China for the last 40 years, and it needs to stop. Right.
It does.
So. I think it's in a long game. I think that's one of the things Trump is trying to solve is he needs to be harsher on China because they've taken advantage of the rest of the world for way too long.
Yeah, they sure have. If you just joined us, we're talking with Scott Mitchell here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rimes. And not only that, they're flying balloons over our country. They're buying up farmland, manipulating currency, VAT tax, improper, and then they get treated as what's the status they're called with the WTO?
Most favored nation.
Most favored nation. Yeah. Give me a break. These guys are building how many coal plants a week? They're pumping out brand new coal plants. So, but anyway, so let's beat up on China a little bit. I got a clip here. I want to start with this one.
Original Magus report. I do not get this idea of applying tariffs on the whole world. We are the biggest consumer on the planet. We have a lot of ways of exerting pressure on China to lower their tariffs and others, Brazil.
I just want to pause because he started off with saying that he doesn't agree with imposing tariffs on the world. What I would say, and he's a big MAGA guy, but what I would say is that what Trump did is he says, hey, we're going to have tariffs, we're going to have reciprocal tariffs. And then what happened when he did the pause, now you have all these countries coming to him saying, hey, we want to make a deal. They're basically fighting to get in line. This was a recent post as well, from Trump. Had a very productive call with the president of Mexico yesterday. Likewise, I met with the highest level of Japanese trade representatives. It was a very productive meeting. Every nation, including China, wants to meet. Today, Italy. So obviously, meeting with Italy.
Right. The prime minister was in the White House just as I was driving in the studio. So,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so anyways, he goes on to talk about drill, baby, drill.
One of them would be use our massive oil infrastructure. Trump loves to drill oil. If we drilled a ton more oil, if we put liquefied natural gas, which we can now do, to the point where we satisfy all of our domestic demand, the excess demand, we could offer to China and say, look, you want to make a deal, lower your tariffs, we will sell you LNG.
Okay, so what do you think about that?
I think one of the problems as a country that Trump is trying to address is we have this massive $37 trillion debt and national debt, and that basically is it's an accumulation of all these trade deficits that we've run over the last 40 years that have kind of accumulated. So part of the baseline tariffs is we have to have some revenue from trade.
Right.
So in 10%, is this baseline tariff. It's very reasonable when you look at the rest of the world.
It is
what they charge us for tariffs. So in the first clip, I don't know if I agree with him. I think that charging tariffs to the rest of the world does make a lot of sense, and something we should have been doing for a long time. And we wouldn't be in the deficit situation that we are if we had done it, if we had the backbone to do it, many administrations ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of energy, we need to, we're one of the wealthiest nations in the world in terms of energy resources.
Yep.
And it's something that it's something that we're constantly up against the wall about, because we have all these regulations and all these rules that prevent us from accessing those resources.
Yeah.
So I think Trump's opening up that too, and that will help us with global trade as well. I mean, heck, gas is at $61 a barrel right now. Oil's at $61 a barrel,
Yep.
and you can see that at the pump prices around. I mean,
Yep.
since Trump was elected, our gas prices have gone way down. That's been helping us with inflation, which was a huge problem under Biden. So,
Right.
we're already starting to see the positive effects of everything that Trump's putting in place. It's just hard sometimes to see the forest for the trees. And, right now we're looking at all these trade agreements and all these tariffs and market disruption, which is not been fun for anybody. But in the long run, there's a plan, and it's gonna make a lot of sense, and it's gonna make America a lot stronger.
Right. And that's a strategic advantage in a way that China has over America, because we've got an election every 4 years. So our president, we got midterms coming up in like 16 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we have to make these things happen quickly in order to continue that, because again, going back to the drill baby drill, Biden, we all know what he did. They cut off thousands and thousands of acres that we could access. Here's clip number 2, because this is Charlie Kirk making a really good point.
I started to research what rare earth minerals specifically does China extract, what are they used for, and then I had to go back to my periodic table and realize that the Chinese Communist Party controls almost 85% of all the rare earths in America.
When's the last time you looked at a periodic table of elements, right?
Right, yeah.
I think it was high school, literally, right?
Yeah, probably.
But it's true. I mean, you look at, the smartphones, the batteries, all the different things in there. But as you were saying kind of pre-show, that's why we got to get a deal done with Ukraine.
Right. I think, this is another example of Trump playing, 3D chess and looking at the forest for the trees. I mean, this is why, as soon as he got into office, he started making these comments about Greenland. And everyone was like, Greenland? What?
Yes.
We haven't talked about Greenland in years. Greenland has a tremendous amount of rare earth minerals that we strategically we should have access to, or we want to have access to. I think that's why the negotiations with Ukraine have a lot to do with rare earth minerals, and that being a way for Ukraine to pay back what the U.S. has lent Ukraine to fight the war with Russia.
Right.
So I think strategically, Trump's eye is on the long game, and rare earth minerals is something that we need to strategically have more of as a nation.
Yeah.
And he's addressing that deficit that we have with not having those resources in
Right.
our country. So.
Right. Yeah, and for too long we've had these elite political class, and you have like Janet Yellen coming out saying, "Oh well, bringing manufacturing back to the United States is a pipe dream," and so that's the same person that said inflation was transitory, right?
Right. Yeah.
all those years ago. But let's shift it back locally here, Scott. Talk to me a little bit about this PRBot.ai.
Yeah, so as I think you mentioned in my intro, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've kind of retired. I had a few really big exits, and decided to try to focus more on giving back to the community and doing more small venture capital investing in new companies. And there's a company that came out of St. Petersburg that I made an investment in, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago, and we just launched our product. It's called PRBot.ai. If you go to the website, we have a coupon code set up for your listeners. So you just use the URL PRBot.ai/QB20, and it gives your listeners 20% off for life. It's a subscription service, and what it does is it goes to all these sites like Help a Reporter Out, Hero, or Quoted, or Featured.com, and they're sites that reporters, like from the New York Times or from People Magazine or USA or whatever, when a story happens and they're looking for experts and looking for quotes or opinions or interviews, they go there and they say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. We're looking for somebody that has this expertise. And then people around the world that have that expertise can answer their calls and hopefully get interviewed or featured in newspapers, magazines, print media, TV, interviews, whatever.
That's cool.
And it's all automated through AI. So you basically you put in things like your LinkedIn URL, you put in like you type a bio in of yourself. The software will actually go out on the internet and try to find previous articles that you were featured in, and it brings all this information together. And from using AI, it goes out and tries to match you with what reporters are looking for on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it prevents you from having to have basically it's an AI generated publicist for yourself. very very cost efficient, and for people who are looking to kind of promote websites, or people looking to promote a show like you, it's a good way to get backlinks that are great for search engine optimization.
Right.
It's great for it's great just to get free publicity that you wouldn't otherwise get. So so again,
awesome.
it's prbot.ai/QB20 for 20% off for life.
Sweet, I love that. I'm going to be checking that out, and because I've hired PR, companies in the past, in the past, and it's expensive, and I got some gigs here and there, a couple call-ins, and this and that appearances.
The great thing about this is it's very much like set it and forget it. So you set it up, and even you hire a publicist, and even forget about the money you pay them, but it's always you have to do calls with them twice a week and go through opportunities and where you can be, and then coming up with quotes, and this kind of all does it for you, and it's a really great service, and again, it's using the AI revolution and kind of pushing it to the next level.
That's awesome. All right, we got to take a quick break. More with Scott Mitchell on the other side here, board member on Wills Way Foundation, and also Feel Good Story of the Day. They are absolute angels on earth. Family fosters and adopts medically complex children. Feel Good Story of the Day coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. No more with Scott Mitchell as well coming up here. Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at BrandonRimes1 at CQB Show. And we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. Did you know that we buy houses cash? We will close quickly and give you a fair offer on your home or residential properties, even commercial properties, and we will give you a fair cash offer, close quickly, and be diligent when you're shopping these types of scenarios, because a lot of the wholesalers, the flippers out there, they will sign you up on an as-is contract, and they will shop that contract and try to find a buyer, but they may not find the buyer, and they won't close. So this is Brandon Rhymes, 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. Brandon Rhymes, we buy houses cash and fast. Attention business owners, did you know we have 100% financing options available? Our No Money Down program offers 100% financing for business owners. If you are currently leasing your commercial space, you can purchase real estate for no money down. Additionally, the program offers money for working capital, equipment, and business fixtures. You can even pay off current business debt. Reach out at 813-917-1894. That is my direct cell. You can call or text 813-917-1894. BRimes at KW.com. And that is our 100% financing, no money down program for business owners. We would love to help you buying, selling, or investing in real estate. 813-917-1894. BRimes at KW.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, in studio with Scott Mitchell, Wills Way Foundation board member, as am I. We're on the board with Wills Way Foundation. We're going to talk about that. Also, a little bit more about his company, prbot.ai/QB20. Get that coupon code, get a 20% off coupon code there as well. A couple of hot listings here from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We always like to feature our real estate properties live on air. 4798 Indigo Road in Groveland. We just listed this, 42 acres of land. Great investment opportunity, listed right around a couple $1 million, if I recall. This one is zoned residential. It's got a nice little pad there, kind of a vacation pad for the weekends. Get out into the country. It's in between Tampa and Orlando. Great location there. 42 acres for sale. 4798 Indigo Road. Beautiful ponds, a small lake there as well. Detached workshop and garage. Great opportunity to buy real estate and maybe build some single-family homes there as well. Do some development on that property. All right, looking at another listing here. Let's look at some vacant land. We got land for sale as well. I got about a dozen vacant land parcels. McKeithen Road, another corner lot location in Dade City. This one is 5 acres of land up in Dade City, corner lot location, heavily wooded, so you're going to need to bring some clearing materials in there and get it cleared out a little bit. Buy and build. Buy some dirt. McKeithen Road, Dade City. Beautiful property. Great opportunity to buy and invest in real estate. We'd love to work with you. Buying, selling, investing in real estate or refinancing. Got my mortgage license now. We can help you on the refinance side. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Only in America, dreaming in red, white, and blue.
All right, Scott Mitchell in studio. So I was talking between the breaks about this case that also, when we were talking about China, one of the biggest settlements in Missouri history, the biggest settlement, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey secured a historic $24 billion judgment against the Chinese Communist Party for unleashing the COVID-19 pandemic, 6 times more than the state's largest. And then the next question is, well, how are they going to collect on that? Well, it looks like they're going to be seizing property. They're threatening to seize some of the property. $24.5 billion settlement. So anyways, kind of bringing our China talk full circle there, Scott. Kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, it's great. Wouldn't it be great if we can pay off that $37 trillion national debt by recovering some of the assets that we lost from during the COVID-19 crisis?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Clearly we know who caused it now.
Yep.
And we spent a ton of money trying to navigate our country through that pandemic. If we can get restitution from the people who caused it, the nation who caused it, that would be fantastic.
It would be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Will's Way Foundation. So we had a great time at the gala a couple months ago, and Will asked us to be on the board. Looking forward to serving on that. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great cause and what a great gala event. My wife and I had such a great time. We, there's planes and the auction and everything was just so well done. What a great cause that we were raising money for. So it really felt like a good kind of a feel good experience, and I'm really happy to be able to get involved at a higher level and contribute more.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's I had a lot of people calling me as well, like, hey, I want to throw a party at a hangar like that. I said, well, it's a little bit more than what you might think, man, cost-wise and everything that goes into that. And you got to have a connection to get in there. But it was a cool spot, right at the hangar, the International Plaza there, and to have the jets and the Ferrari or nice cars, whatever types of cars, I can't remember now. But yeah, it was great, great sponsors and raising money for local hurricane victims. And I think also Will has a passion for wanting to help people that maybe that want to get into the aviation industry, but maybe they can't afford it. They're lacking of resources there as well. Right.
Yeah, no, both great causes. And Will's a fantastic guy, and he, his heart's in the right place, and he puts so much of his time, effort, and investment risk into this foundation, and seeing it kind of flourish and helping bring it to the next level. It's just a great thing to do for the community.
Yeah, man. So as a successful entrepreneur, business owner, what would be some of your top tips for young business owners out there, maybe entrepreneurs going, maybe even coming out of college, like getting into life? What would be a strategy or tip, something that you could pass along?
Yeah, I mean, every journey, starts with a few steps. So I would encourage people to get started. If they want to be an entrepreneur, just start up a small company, get started. If they're able to put 15 or 20 hours a week into it, kind of on the side, start somewhere. Don't be afraid to fail. When you fail, get up and get back on the horse and start again. That's everyone always hears about every entrepreneur's great successes, and people like to talk about those great successes. Very few people talk about how many times they fail.
Right.
But those times you fail, that's when you learn all the lessons, and that's when you apply them to your future endeavors, and that's where success comes from.
Right on.
It comes from 1,000 failures before. So,
fail forward.
Fail forward. Yeah, that's a great line. I love that.
Yeah. Fail forward, and you figured out another way that doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Switch it up. Do it a different way.
Yeah, don't do that again. Right?
Yeah. Take risk and learn, man. That's the idea. Get out there, make it happen, and an advantage we have today versus our grandparents is we have the internet.
Right.
So 7 to 11, no excuses, right? No, I don't have the resources. No, you're not resourceful enough, right? Get on the internet, 7 to 11, put out videos, research videos, learn, grow your mind. That's what you can do. So.
Yeah, don't quit your day job until it absolutely makes sense to.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous that you're working a day job. That's
that's how it happens. That's how it'll happen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Scott Mitchell, prbot.ai. /QB20. Get that coupon code and check that out. Also, stay tuned for more about Will's Way Foundation. Scott, thanks for coming in, man.
Great. Thank you, Brandon. It's been great.
My pleasure. All right, coming up, Attorney Millie Athanason, law offices of Millicent v. Athanason, PA, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Attorney Millicent Athanason joining us here in studio. We're going to talk about visitation schedules relating to family law. We'll get into a little personal injury law as well, and maybe get some estate planning with her. She has a practice here locally in Tampa Bay. We always talk about supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors. So we greatly appreciate everybody that does that and supporting the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. A couple of hot listings here. We feature all of our listings on air. Strategy Works helps us sell faster for more money. 1210 Paradise Lake Drive. Beautiful property here in Lake Tarpon area, right close to the lake, Tarpon Springs here. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage. You got a beautiful pool screened in the back, split floor plan. You have 2274 square feet and a just a great opportunity. You're in a gated community here, roof, gutters, downspouts, all newer. So it's well maintained. You got a fireplace there, lighter color, kitchen cabinetry. 1210 Paradise Lake Drive, Tarpon Springs, Florida. 1758 Winfield Circle in Clearwater. We have a remodeled home here, 532, 2746 square feet, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage, 36-acre lot, and a fireplace, open design layout, beautiful island there in the kitchen, lighter colors, the white cabinetry, lighter color flooring, open air pool in the back. I love that. And you have the fenced-in backyard with a small lanai in the back as well. Check out 1758 Winfield Circle in Clearwater, Florida. Beautiful property, and you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Millie Athanason in studio with us. Welcome back, Millie.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always great to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, and we'd love to get the updates. You always give us some really timely updates, and whenever the Florida legislature's meeting, and just different ideas that may have changed over time. But today, visitation schedules. Let's jump into that.
Yes. I wanted to touch upon that because with the 3-day weekend fastly approaching, there's always issues about children wanting to go over to the other parent's house. And a lot of times when children don't want to go, the natural instinct is for the parent that has the child to blame the other parent for something. And vice versa. The other parent who doesn't have primary custodial care is going to blame the other parent that says, well, you're telling her not to come see me or telling him not to come see me.
Right.
So I hear this all the time. And a lot of times what I try to encourage is communication before you. I mean, not that I don't like making money, because I certainly love that. However, I mean, if they can communicate and try to get to the bottom of it together, it makes things easy. Because remember, number one, children have minds of their own.
Yeah.
Okay. And number two, they have all these friends in school that they talk to, because divorce is unfortunately a prevalent situation in our society. And then people will turn around and ask me, well, what's the age in Florida when a child can decide for themselves where they want to live? And that's a huge question. The answer is that there is not a statutory age. In other words, our laws don't say at X age you get to say where you're going to live. It doesn't work that way. You're a minor, period. Right. However, there are instances where the court, depending upon the age and maturity level of the child, will allow a child to make a statement as to what they would prefer, and the court can take their preferences into account, but that does not necessarily mean they're going to automatically rule that particular way. It's just one of the pieces of evidence.
Okay.
My experience has been over the years is that the more fighting between the parents, the worse it is for the child. Children don't like to have to be in a position where they have to choose. Yet, if they do have concerns, they want to be heard and not just blame it on the other party. So it's kind of a delicate balance of trying to understand your own children as opposed to communicating with the other parent. So the question then becomes, okay, if there's a problem and the child doesn't want to go to a parent's house, how do you handle it? Right? So how you handle it is I always recommend that the parties, if they can't talk because, obviously if they went through a bad divorce or something, trust issues are going to be there. It's going to be an issue.
Right.
So if they can't talk to each other, one of the things they can do is engage in counseling with the minor child that's claiming to have the problem.
Right.
Courts are going to order it anyway. If they went and you filed a motion for contempt against the other parent, they're going to probably order some type of reunification counseling or something like that. So that is one thing that you can offer as a parent, is to say, hey, why don't you and our child go to counseling together? Yeah. And sometimes it could be family counseling where both parents and the child get together so that they can talk about these situations.
Yeah.
The other issue, you can file a motion for contempt, but I will tell you that litigation never breeds better communication or better relations within the family.
Right.
The minute you start suing somebody and you're calling them every name in the book and you're going to court and bad-mouthing them, the likelihood that you're going to have a great working relationship is somewhere between slim and none.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do think it's a significant problem,
right?
And we're seeing it a lot. The other issue you have is that courts really do not want children to testify in court. Okay. They try to do everything that they can to avoid it because you imagine a poor child getting on the stand and having to testify against one parent.
Oh, man.
That is a horrible position for a youth to be placed into.
Have you seen that happen?
Oh, absolutely, I have. And it's so sad because they're totally afraid, and the reality is, from a psychological standpoint, and again, I'm definitely not a psychologist or anything, but what I find is that they don't like to choose, and they want to have a relationship with both of their parents of some sort. Usually it may be more limited with one parent than the other, but they still want to have some communication. And it's better, studies have shown that it's better for a child's self-esteem if they have constant communication with both of their parents.
Right.
And that's why the law changed, where they now have a presumption of 50-50 time sharing.
Yeah.
It's a rebuttable presumption, but it's a presumption. So, not forcing the child to get in the courtroom and testify is a good thing.
Well, let's face it, too. If you look at today's generation, we already have the most alcohol, drug addicted, tech addicted, technology, social media addicted generation in the history of mankind. And by the way, they're also very suicidal.
Yes.
So by adding this extra pressure onto these kids, you're putting them in a very bad situation.
Extremely bad. And courts do their best to try to protect them. So, for example, if you wanted to have a child testify, you would actually have to make a motion before the court, before you just bring the child to court. And most of the time, what a court's going to do is they're going to prefer that a guardian ad litem be appointed.
Yeah.
A guardian ad litem is typically another lawyer who has no dog in the race. In other words, they don't represent either party. And what they do is they interview the child or children, they interview the parents, and any other collateral witnesses that each parent will give them. And then they have the ability to make a report and make recommendations to the court.
Right.
And it would include the child's preference in that report.
Okay.
But again, that's just one factor amongst many that a court is going to consider in making a determination in this regard.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if the child tells the guardian that there's abuse or something like that, the guardian on its own motion can make a motion before the court to suspend or terminate time sharing based on whatever the problem may be. And usually that has to be a very significant problem,
Right.
be it physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, something of that nature. They're not going to just say that if the child just says, I don't like the discipline at mom's house or at dad's house. That's not a sufficient reason.
Yeah, discipline. I imagine you see that quite often, right? You have one parent that's a little bit more disciplinarian, kind of an old school,
Yes.
style, maybe a little bit more into church or religion, and then you have the other one that's wanted to be the friend parent. Unfortunately, You have that friend parent.
Yeah, and kids don't need friends as parents; they need parents.
Right.
And unfortunately, we see that a lot. We call that the Disney parent, where when they have the child, they want to do only fun activities with the
Right.
child, and children need a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, they need guidance. They need to be able to talk about issues that they're being faced with at school, whether it be bullying or drugs or attacks on social media or
Yeah.
what have you. Kids have a lot of issues in school now that when I was younger, we didn't have to face. We didn't have an internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, luckily, I mean, I can imagine all the trouble I would have got in.
Right?
If they had a camera on me 24/7, oh my goodness, I would have been in trouble. If you just joined us, by the way, we're talking with Attorney Millie Athanason here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon BRimes, and kind of a PSA here, public service announcement is, I've been listening. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like to take in my news that way. I'm a little bit more audible versus the old school way of reading. But there's been a significant uptick in these online predators where they're basically having the children show them things, graphic images, take pictures, and then they turn around and they say, hey, I got you now. And then either you give me this money or whatever, however that they play that out in their sick, twisted minds. And then these kids are killing themselves at record numbers. Have you heard of that? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is horrible. What I recommend to parents is obviously you need to talk to your children about safety in use of the internet.
Yeah.
With social media, yes, these people are requesting pictures, and nowadays girls and boys are much more likely to take these pictures and post them, not realizing that these pictures are out there forever. And it not only affects what you're doing now, but when you go to apply to a college or you apply to get a job,
Yep.
they scour your social media pages.
Yep.
And if they find very inappropriate things on there, that can actually have an impact
Yeah.
on the future. And the other problem is kids just don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
They don't have a skill set to be able to say, no, I'm not doing this garbage.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's really important and incumbent upon the parents to really have discussions with them and tell them why it's not safe and tell them what to do in case a problem arises.
Right.
The other thing, bullying is a huge problem in the school system now. And kids are cutting themselves, killing themselves, doing horrible things. Because again, it's an ability to cope. How do I cope with this? What are the steps I need to take?
Yeah.
Who's teaching them this? Somebody's got to do it. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up as adults in our personal lives, we don't realize that we've got these little people depending on us for guidance and stability. And the schools don't have classes on how to handle it. So you can't just send your kid to school and say, great, they'll take care of it at school.
Right. If anything, they're making it worse in a lot of cases.
Yes,
Some of these schools, from what I've seen, especially in California. But Yeah, we got to take a quick break here.
Okay.
More with Millie Athanason coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We also have our feel-good story of the day. We'd like to tell you something good here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. They are absolutely angels on earth. Family fosters and adopts medically complex children. All right, feel-good story of the day coming up here. Consumer Quarterback Show online at consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com for all of your non-woke American-made products. American values, Christian, conservative American values. Say hello to my business partner, Jim McCune at AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Say hello to Shane Socash, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, 4009 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg. Online at davidreynoldsjewelryandcoin.com for all of your precious metals and jewelry design. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rimes. You can reach me at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. That's consumerqb, like quarterback.com. Buying, selling, investing, or refinancing, we would love to talk to you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rimes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We always feature our real estate listings live on air, and we help our sellers maximize the profit on the sale of their real estate listings. 221 Howard Drive, beautiful property, $1 million listing from the Platinum MVP team. We just did a price improvement here. This one's down at $2.95 million. Rare gem at an excellent price. We have 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3,500 square foot, single family home, exclusive Bel Air beach location, gorgeous 3 island kitchen with Thermador appliances, saltwater pool, 100 feet of water frontage on deep water access. Bring your boats, bring your jet skis, enjoy that Florida lifestyle to the fullest. You have access to the Gulf of America, and you have dolphin-filled water, sugar sand beaches right around the corner. 221 Howard Drive, Bel Air Beach, Florida. Beautiful $1 million listing from the Platinum MVP team. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75. Tell me something good.
All right, feel good story of the day here. Caleb and Rushala Bone of Tennessee have opened their home and hearts to children with complex medical conditions, earning them the nickname of Angels on Earth. Inspired by their biological son Griffin's early heart struggles, they chose to adopt and foster children with similar needs who lacked family support. Since 2022, the Bones have adopted or fostered 4 medically fragile children, including Isabella, who recently joined their family after undergoing open heart surgery as a baby. Been there, done that. Open heart surgery, not fun. Through dedication, medical training, and love, they're creating a nurturing home for kids who need it most. So there you have it, our feel-good story of the day. Look at that little family there. I love that. Feel-good story of the day, Consumer Quarterback Show. We always like to, feature those feel-good stories, Millie. And, my wife Lindsay and I, before we got pregnant, we were struggling to get pregnant, and it wasn't for lack of effort, by the way.
Good to know.
There you go. Good to know. So we, but we went through all the fostering classes. We went through the fostering class, and it's a lot of work to get your foster license. It's a lot of hours. We were, luckily you can do it via Zoom and everything, and I got caught one time, looking at the TV. They're like, "Hey, you got to look at the computer screen here. You're like, we can tell you're looking at the TV." Like, oops, got me. But anyways, so fostering, people that do that, foster and adopting kids, that's a special place, isn't it? That's a special person to be able to do that.
It is, because you got to understand, for these children to wind up in foster care, there had to be a lot of abuse, neglect, or abandonment going on
Yes.
in their home in order for them to be removed. So you automatically know when they walk into your home, they're going to come with a host of problems.
Yes.
And all of them may not be diagnosed. Yes,
Right.
some of the medical problems may be, but the emotional problems may not be.
Exactly.
And I could tell, I mean, when I was a baby lawyer, I actually worked for the state prosecuting child abuse cases.
Oh.
And I can tell you it is no easy task. And the things that you see and the things that,
Yeah.
these children had to go through,
Yeah.
it's appalling
Right.
to know that these poor little innocent kids were going through that. But unfortunately, it happens, and at least we do have a foster care system.
Yes.
But I think you have to be a very, very patient and understanding person
Yeah.
in order to deal that. I always tell people when they ask me whether they think it's a good idea because, they want to adopt a child or something. I said, you have to be careful when you're dealing with foster care because they're a different breed than if you're dealing with someone that, for whatever reason just doesn't want their child and they want to place it up for adoption.
Right.
So there's a huge difference, and you have to be patient enough to be
Yeah.
able to handle those problems.
Yeah, there's drug addiction, the criminal element. I mean, we've seen and heard a lot of stories going through that course.
Yes.
To pass that course and to go through that. But yeah, it's my heart goes out and thoughts and prayers, and those are truly angels on earth to be able to do that.
They really, really are, because some people, like, for example, especially the ones that have like severe medical issues.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is for the state to find people that will take them into their home? I mean, it is no easy task.
Right.
They work their butts off, and I think they're all overworked and underpaid. That's why they have such a high turnover rate.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it truly is. And I think that's one thing too that I can't remember if it was DeSantis or maybe something I heard out of D.C. With the president, but they're working, I believe, and maybe it's Charlie Kirk with Turning Point USA, working to make it easier to adopt. Let's try to reduce the amount of abortions, and because if you look at it, there's so many people that are willing to bring people in their home, but sometimes there might be too much red tape, too many things that will be a prohibitor to that.
Oh, yes, there are.
Yeah.
I mean, now the state will help with the adoption process if you're adopting a child from the foster care system, but it's not without its loopholes and things or hoops that you have to jump through.
Right.
There's a lot of them. And then the other problem you have is if, let's say, there's a kid or family that has 6 siblings. I'm just saying, making that up. And
Yeah.
they're all in foster care.
Yeah.
The state really tries to find a place where they can all be together.
Right.
However, the people that are wanting to foster adopt may only want one child.
Yep.
And so that becomes another issue that has to be contended with, because typically if they lose one child, they're going to keep losing children to the state unless they rectified the problem that caused the issue in the first place.
Right. Yep, absolutely. We're talking with Attorney Millie Athanason here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Support the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors. Millie also practices personal injury law, family law and divorce, and estate planning, also AKA elder law as well. Millie, we got about a minute left. Final thoughts.
Well, final thoughts is that if there's issues with a child wanting to go over there to the other parent's house, keep in mind that it's the primary custodial parent's responsibility to foster and encourage that relationship to take place. And a parent can be held in contempt of court for not carrying through on those duties. So try to make a resolution. If you don't know how to handle it, by all means, call my office. We're happy to have a consultation and tell you the steps that you need to take.
Yeah, definitely reach out and we'll put you in touch with Millie, 813-917-1894. That's the show hotline. Also, you have your 800 number, 833-ASK-MILLIE.
Yes.
833-ASK-MILLIE, and that's
M-I-L-L-Y.
M-I-L-L-Y, Ask
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
833-ASK-MILLIE. Millie Athanason, law offices of Millicent B. Athanason, AthanasonLaw.com, online at AthanasonLaw.com. All right, Millie, good stuff. Thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. Hey, another great show. We were talking with my friend Scott Mitchell on the front end. He offered the 20% off code at probot.ai/QB20. That's going to get you 20% off of that PR program that he has, that AI technology, and of course Millie Athanason. So please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rimes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894.